Hello, day 38 of our reflective tarot, and we have the 6th and the 9th Sephirot. So it's Tiferet and Yesod, both the middle pillar. Tiferet is that Venus energy, beauty, truth, harmony. It's about open-heartedness, compassion, and as we've seen with Yesod, it's about connection, it's foundation, relationship, attachment, creativity, desire. So the path from or between Yesod and Tiferet is temperance. And you know, I'm thinking this is the place of learning, you know, place of patience too, but a place of learning to balance the elements of air, water, earth and fire, you know, and that's obviously the functionings of sensing, intuitive, thinking and feeling. So that's the actual path to Tiferet. It's kind of, I was thinking, bringing that a dynamic equilibrium, which is Tiferet, and harmony and open-heartedness of Tiferet. It's learning that, and that, yeah, that takes time and patience for all of us, I guess. It, for me, it like holds symbolically that yin yang symbol, you know, that balance. And the Tao's Wu Wei, that allowing the universe to bring balance. So reflecting on that, I was thinking my place is to observe imbalance within me or within situations I'm in, and not act out of that, but hold that vision of balance and harmony of, well, that's the path, and that's actually what comes into the heart. And we, you know, we can do this with knowing that the essence of all that is within us. It's, even if we feel out of balance, that dynamic equilibrium is within our hearts already. But then I was looking at the two cards of Tiferet, the 6 of Wands, and Yesod, the 9 of Wands, and kind of, after feeling those energies of balance, saw imbalance with these, in these images. I mean, the 6 of Wands, it shows a sense of balance, you know, not just literal balancing on his horse, you know, and you need that to stay in your saddle, but that of, you know, someone having mastered or gained victory over imbalance. But then I looked and I thought, well, this guy in the corner, I don't know if you can see his face, is almost a mirror of his face, yeah. And I thought there's a kind of sense for some people there that there's imbalance, and also the fact that he's sitting above them shows that he's in a position of power. So that is direct imbalance, and I mean that kind of inequality comes in all sorts of situations. There's an imbalance of power if you are a manager or a owner of a firm, you know. There's that kind of situation, inequality of power. It can happen within families. It can happen materially, you know, those who have a lot of money, those who don't. It can happen globally in terms of richer countries having that kind of material power, and that inequality that comes between countries. And then I'm looking at him thinking he looks like he might have suffered inequality of power or been wounded by that imbalance, either, you know, internally by the way he perceives things, or by another literal inequality that he suffered. So he's defended, you know, or maybe he's the same person who was on that horse, you know, and his injury is from falling off that horse. Yeah, Yesod, I mean, this is about relationship and connection, whilst Tiferet is that open-heartedness and balance. So yeah, I started reflecting on what are those ingredients for a relationship, especially when they're actual or perceived inequalities. And I reflected on, you know, situations where people have perceived I have power, or situations where I've perceived I've been disempowered. And I thought, well, the qualities that are needed in those situations are compassion and truth, and maintaining a fierce connection to compassion and truth. I mean, if you're in a relationship, say, as a counsellor, psychologist, and that person immediately feels in the situation is one of inequality, because somebody is opening up and being vulnerable to you. So there's an inequality and they're coming to you for help. So I'm thinking there needs to be, in those sorts of situations, not only an understanding of that power dynamic, but also a fierce connection to compassion and truth. Because if you don't acknowledge your power in any given situation, it's no good saying you don't have power over others. We have a certain amount of power over our children. It's there. It's a fact of life. Yeah. So it's being aware that your empowerment, whether it's, you know, internally or it's situationally or materially, has the capacity to highlight in others or to bring to sharp focus their sense of disempowerment. You're not responsible for that, but you're responsible to acknowledge that this could happen within situations. And the way that we can kind of help those situations is connecting to the foundation of truth, you know, and it's an amazing equalizer. You know, it's easy if you're in a situation, yeah, of or position of power, to miss the seeds ego can slip in. That's what I was thinking. You know, and it perpetuates inequality by a sense of entitlement. You know, we have that saying, oh, don't get on your high horse. And that's usually when there's kind of an argument about power dynamics when that saying comes up. So the truth is, they're all roles. These are roles within the world, yeah, within your family, within a work situation, society. They're functions and roles. They're not who we are. And as I say, we can all identify ourselves at some time or another as in a position of power or disempowerment. But the truth is, it's a function to serve the whole. And if we have that connection to truth and compassion, there'll be a harmony. There'll be this balance. You know, you can be in that position and anything can happen, and you can be in that position. I often think that about people who are homeless. You know, you listen to their stories, a lot of them, you know, had no idea they had their own homes, they had their own lives, situations like a partner leaving or losing a job, and they're homeless, you know, everybody, if you have that position, a kind of privileged position in any way, then that kind of awareness that, you know, life is cycles and this can change is a good, it's just a good leveler. Yeah, so I'm thinking it doesn't matter within a firm, you know. I remember working in places where people kind of even, yeah, the cleaner would come in, and I mean, I've done cleaning in my life, you know, and people look down their noses, you know, but if that person wasn't there cleaning, you know, things would fall apart. So I think what I'm trying to say is positions of power, or a sense of someone having power, it's just a function. It's not us. I think that's what I was reflecting on. And the other thing is, you know, don't feel disempowered because of your position or your function. It's not, it's illusory in that sense. I mean, we're all born, we all grow, we all die. So, you know, and we all sit on the toilet. So it's kind of, yeah, the reflection was about that, about keeping that beautiful temperance balance. And the only way we can do it is by looking at how we're feeling, the truth of how we're feeling. Are there seeds of superiority creeping in because of your knowledge or your function or your, you know, your position in life in any way? Or are we feeling disempowered because of our job or our function? Because in essence, we're all part of that whole, you know. I was saying to someone earlier today, you know, it's almost like, if you see yourself as cells in a body, and we're all cells in a body, the choice you make is, am I going to be a cell that brings cancerous elements to the body, or am I going to be a cell that brings oxygen to the system? And really, it's a matter of choice, whether you're feeling empowered or disempowered. It's a choice to feel like that. Yeah, so they were my reflections. I'll pull us a Rumi card and see what else wants to come out. Yeah, interesting, these power dynamics, you know, because even when we don't feel like we're in power over someone, actually someone can perceive that. So we need to have compassion to be aware of that, you know, because the way they behave can sometimes be because they've got you on a pedestal or see you as, yeah, it's just interesting power dynamics. It's in everything we do, really. Oh dear, I think this was yesterday, the dissolving light. I'll read it. That's really interesting. That's come out twice. I'll read a bit of it again. Yeah, the dissolving light. Yeah, it's that. I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to an animal. I died as an animal and I became human. Why should I fear anything? When was I ever less by dying? Yeah, it talks about burning up. It's got such truth, that light, that dissolving light, and that's, you know, that it can't, no truth, no falsehood can stand in it. Yeah, together we shall melt into truth. So yeah, it's this thing about truth again. You know, it is, truth is the great leveler, and it's not just, you know, it's truth about yourself and being truthful with yourself. So I'll pull us a elemental. Ah, that's interesting. 2 days in a row. I think it was yesterday it came out, but yesterday or the day before. So yeah, bring yourself into the light, you know. Don't just assume that your ego hasn't crept in. If you're in, especially if you're in a leadership position of any sort. And you know, that can even be tarot readers, counsellors, especially people who are mentoring other people. You're in a position of power just because you've got information or knowledge that they haven't. It's to be aware of. We are powerful beings. We need to be aware of our power or our sense of disempowerment and bring balance. Okay, so we got water. You won't believe this. You're more powerful than you realise. It's safe for you to be powerful. Yeah. We're all powerful. Whatever our role is in life, there's incredible, I can't believe it, there's incredible power in us. But we need to manage that power with compassion and, you know, make sure our power brings harmony. We use that to bring truth, harmony, balance to things. Yeah. So that's our elemental. I'll pull us a chakra card, see if there's anything specific we need to be looking at. Yeah, you're more powerful than you realise. So also that's a message to people who feel disempowered, you know, constantly unable to get their head out of the mud or whatever. You know, you're more powerful than you realise. But also people who have that sense of good self-esteem realise, you know, that you need to keep balance. Yeah, and through communication, that's expression. So what are we communicating? We got all the blues here. Look. Expression, throat chakra. What are you expressing? You know, what are you communicating? And they say that 70% of our communication is non-verbal. You know, if there's any sense of disempowerment, our actual physical body can communicate that more strongly than anything we say, and vice versa. If you're in a position where you have, you know, there's inequality just by virtue of the function or position you're in, be aware of, you know, any ego seeds of superiority or feeling better than, and you know, work hard to make sure they're not creeping in, because they can come in through the back door, you know, and you get feedback from someone and you think, oh dear, uh-oh. And again, it's something we've all done, all been there, got the t-shirt. And if you don't think you have, then maybe you need to look a bit deeper, because it's, you know, it's we're conditioned in a society, you know, 20th century, 21st century. It's a society that celebrates, you know, the powerful, survival of the fittest. That's our conditioning. That's what we were taught in school. It's what society says. The haves and the have-nots, you know, it's very deep in our conditioning, so we need to be aware of that. Get rid of that. I mean, it's a load of rubbish. Situationally, there may be inequality, but in essence, there is no inequality. You know, we're all sailing on the same boat. Okay. We got this C one again. Yeah, lovely C. To feel your innate sense of truth, develop open-mindedness. Yeah, open-mindedness, open-heartedness. So you know, we need to ensure that we're open-minded to message of spirit, our intuition. You know, that will often really alert us when we're moving into ego. You know, whether it's a deflated ego and low self-esteem, or blown up ego. So those are your messages. I hope you enjoyed that. Lots of love. Bye bye.